The movie opens in 1991. In the town of Kettle Springs, Missouri, a group of teenagers are having a party near a cornfield by the bygone syrup factory. Two teens, Jessica and Tyler, go into the cornfield to hook up. Tyler briefly loses Jessica before coming across a huge footprint in the mud. Jessica suddenly reemerges and vomits blood on his face. She tells him to run before she collapses dead with a huge knife slash on the back of her head. A figure starts to come at Tyler from the cornfield. Tyler runs away before he collides with a scarecrow. Tyler soon finds himself face-to-face with a clown called Frendo. The clown takes a pitchfork and impales Tyler, swinging him up above his head. In the present day, teenager Quinn Maybrook is moving to Kettle Springs with her father, Dr. Glenn. Quinn lost her mother the previous year from an overdose, and she and Glenn have had a strained relationship since then. When they get to their new home, the first thing they find is a dead animal in the fireplace. Quinn looks out a window to see a burned syrup factory with Frendo's painting on the wall. On her first day of school, Katie is walked over by her and Glenn's new neighbor, Rust. She ends up arriving late in class and is let in by a bitter teacher, Mr. Vern. The students pull a prank on him by putting his face on a bodybuilder's body. Vern gets angry and starts giving them tests as a punishment. One student, Janet, says it is unfair since Quinn is new to the class. But Vern puts Quinn in detention for no reason. Another student, Cole, tries to defend her, but Vern puts him in detention too. The test ends up being another prank, pissing Vern off even more. The students recorded the prank and posted it on social media. Janet meets and befriends the other students, Ronnie, Tucker, and Matt. Quinn asks why the town is so old, and they tell her that most of the people living there are old and are big on tradition. They even have a holiday called Founders Day, which they celebrate every year with everyone gathering around a Frendo float and parading him through the streets. They tell her that Cole's father is the local oligarch and his great-grandfather is the inventor of a famous corn syrup. They show Quinn the home movies they make, which feature Tucker and Matt dressing up as Frendo, and they manage to get a good amount of views on YouTube. Quinn goes to lunch with Glenn, where they meet Sheriff Dunn. He warns Quinn to stay away from the group of teenagers, blaming them for a fire that burned down the syrup factory. When the teens pass the diner, Quinn sneaks off to join them. They later go to the liquor store owned by an older man named Otis. Tucker and Matt act like they're about to fight to create a diversion so that they can grab beers, which they still pay for, and a bottle of liquor for a little get-together that evening. They are being watched by someone and Matt leaves to relieve himself. Quinn asks them about the burnt factory. Cole admits that the teens did go into the syrup factory to film their videos on the night of the fire, but it wasn't them who started it. The investigations led to faulty wiring as the reason the fire broke out, but they say that nobody, including them, believes that, and they suspect that someone set them up. Outside, as Matt is relieving himself, he gets attacked by someone off camera. The group hears Matt scream, and after a few seconds, he appears with his guts spilling out. Matt collapses dead and Quinn screams in terror and tries to run, but Cole stops her as it is another prank. Quinn and Cole later bond over her dead mother, as well as Cole feeling guilty because his little sister died during an accident when they were diving off a bridge. Cole later drops Quinn off at her home. They start to kiss, but Glenn finds them. Glenn makes it clear to Cole that Quinn won't hang out with them anymore. Glenn is angry at Quinn since it is late. Quinn fires back and says that Glenn brought them to the town without her will. She tells him that she is sick of running away when things get hard. After they argue, Quinn watches the video that the teens recorded that night, but she notices another Frendo mask hidden in the background. She sends it to Tucker. Tucker is home alone playing drums. He sees the picture Quinn sends him before he receives a notification. He opens it to see what looks like Frendo on the doorbell camera. He thinks it's Matt playing a prank on him. He goes to find him and finds his front door wide open. He then hears the toilet flush from upstairs. Tucker goes, but no one is there. He then gets into a room to find the floor covered in plastic. Tucker admires Matt's prank until he finds a jack-in-the-box in his closet. He turns it on to be jump-scared by a clown. Frendo then appears behind Tucker and slashes his throat before wrapping him in the plastic. The next day, Cole is met by his father Arthur Hill, who is also the mayor of the town. Hill forbids Cole from going to the Founders Day parade since he is in detention at school, but his mother intervenes and allows him to go. Everyone in town is gathered for the Founders Day parade, led by Hill. Hill gives a speech to the townspeople as the teens gather during the parade to watch the show. One person on a unicycle wearing a Frendo mask drops a bomb-like object that causes one of the floats to catch fire, sending everyone into a panic. Frendo's statue collapses, angering Hill. Dunn quickly accuses the teens of starting the fire, so Quinn, Janet, Cole, and Ronnie are all arrested. Inside the jail, an older prisoner tells them that they are screwed since they messed with Frendo's parade. They later get bailed out by Glenn. Quinn tries to explain that they got blamed for the thing they didn't do, but Glenn grounds her. It is revealed that Glenn had bought her a car and was going to teach her how to drive as a bonding thing between them. Matt is in his garage working out alone. He then finds a jack-in-the-box, but Matt throws it in the trash bin. He continues to do his bench press. When he is about to put back the barbell, Frendo appears and holds it. He puts a handsaw with the barbell and starts pushing it. Despite Matt's efforts to stop it, Frendo pushes the saw down to chop Matt's head off and puts it in a mini refrigerator. That night, Quinn sneaks out with Cole to go to a party by the cornfield. On the road, they spot Rust holding a dead deer, which they find creepy and suspicious. At the party, Quinn and Cole sneak off to a nearby shed to hook up, only for Cole to basically shut it down. Embarrassed, Quinn runs back to Janet and Ronnie, who say that Cole rejects every girl. Quinn and Janet nearly get into it until they see another girl, Ginger, emerge from the cornfield. She collapses dead with an arrow in her back. The girls think that it is just another prank by Tucker and Matt. Then suddenly, a head covered in Frendo's mask gets tossed at them. They take the mask off to find Matt's head. But the girls still think it's just another video idea, until Quinn tells Janet and Ronnie that she cannot feel Ginger's pulse, and the girls realize they have been tossing Matt's head around, and not a prop. Frendo emerges from the cornfield holding a crossbow. He fires an arrow and hits one unlucky partygoer in the face. The girls try to run back to the party, but the students there close the door on them. Frendo starts firing at the girls until Rust shows up and blasts him with his shotgun. Suddenly, a whole group of people dressed like Frendo start walking out of the cornfield holding different kinds of weapons. One tries to attack but gets his hand blown off by Rust. Quinn, Cole, Rust, Janet, and Ronnie all run into the shed for protection. There, the girls learn that Rust and Cole were together, but had to split up because Cole couldn't be honest with who he really is. The Frendos start to break the shed before the teens find a hatch that leads through the sewage pit which can get them out. They set up a trap to light up some propane tanks before they escape through the sewer. Rust stays back to light the propane. The group escapes outside as the Frendos break into the shed. The propane tank explodes, destroying the shed and keeping the Frendos away from them, but Rust gets left behind, seemingly killed in the explosion. The group then runs off into the cornfield to get some help from a nearby home of a couple, the Tillersons. Glenn finds out that Quinn escaped, and he goes to find her. He looks for her through town until he sees the clinic door busted open. He goes to investigate and gets caught by one of the Frendos, plus the one who got his hand shot off. The first Frendo orders Glenn to tend to the other Frendo's wound. Glenn soon finds a walkie-talkie on the injured Frendo's person, and he creates a distraction for the other Frendo. The wounded one starts to flatline, and Glenn makes the other one take defibrillators, causing him to put his knife down. This leaves Glenn to take the knife and stab the Frendo in the neck, leaving him to bleed to death. He then goes to rescue his daughter. The teens end up on a road and see a cop car approaching. They flag the car down, but unfortunately, Sheriff Dunn is driving the car. He only arrests Cole and leaves the girls by themselves. Having no choice, the girls run back into the cornfield. They travel through the cornfield to the Tillersons, but they get found by a Frendo with a chainsaw. They start to run away but are found by another Frendo. The girls run in the other direction and hide. The chainsaw-wielding Frendo passes them by, but another Frendo finds them. Quinn strikes him with a rock and escapes. They run through the cornfield frantically until one of the Frendos impales Ronnie with a chainsaw before he turns it on, killing her brutally. Quinn and Janet run to the house, which happens to be unlocked. They get inside to find what appears to be a dead person sitting while wearing Frendo's mask. The two then hear a phone ringing from upstairs and go to get it. When Quinn picks it up, there is no one on the line. They try to call 911, but the phone doesn't work. Quinn then realizes that they walked into a trap. They get downstairs and the dead Frendo is not there. He pops up and impales Janet with a pitchfork before electrocuting her on the ceiling light. Quinn smashes a glass on his head before she pulls the pitchfork out of Janet's body and uses it to kill the Frendo. Janet ends up dead. Quinn runs outside to a truck, but she can't drive it since it's a stick shift. A group of Frendos come out and abduct her. Quinn wakes up in the remains of the syrup factory and learns that the Frendos are led by Mayor Hill and Sheriff Dunn, along with other townsfolk like Mr. Vern, a waitress named Trudy, and Otis. Cole is tied up to the ceiling by his neck, ready to be hung. Hill explains to Quinn that this is a Founders' Day tradition going back to the early 20th century. Every time a group of people shows up that the town thinks will harm their reputation, like hobos, hippies, Gen X burnouts, and now Gen Z teenagers, which Hill thinks are the worst kinds. The townsfolk dress like Frendo and murder anyone they view as a problem. Hill was also the one who started the factory fire to collect the insurance money, and he has also always blamed Cole for the death of his sister. Before the villains can execute Quinn and Cole, Glenn bursts through the factory in his car. In the commotion, Otis gets his head crushed by a cinder block while Trudy gets impaled with a pipe. Dunn goes after Quinn while Hill tries to finish off his own son. Quinn hides in a room full of Frendo's costume and manages to trick Dunn, grabbing his cattle prod and sticking it down his throat to electrocute him from within. Hill drives Glenn's car away to escape, leaving Cole dangling by the neck. Glenn holds him up until Russ shows up alive to shoot the rope and free Cole. The two then finally share a kiss. Quinn joins them to leave, but once again is faced by a stick-shift car when Mr. Vern is the last Frendo left alive. Glenn guides Quinn through it, and she hits the gas to plow into Mr. Vern. Sometime later, Quinn is getting ready to leave for college, while Glenn is now running for mayor of Kettle Springs. Rust and Cole, now a couple, show up to give Quinn a baton as a gift. She bids the three men farewell before driving off. On the road, Quinn discovers another jack-in-the-box in the car, but she simply tosses it out the window and keeps going.